What's going on, guys? Hey, today I want to go over the upgrade I have for the Terremoto 10 that will basically eliminate any snapping of the axle pins if anybody's had that issue, and then also kind of beef it up a little bit more, allow you to maybe put a 4S motor on it and feel a little more confident about some of the drivetrain, which, you know, most of it will stay the same, but regardless, the hubs and the hub pins seem to be what took the brunt of the force from people that were upgrading, going with a little bit more of a torquey system. I personally have only had the issue twice in the whole time I've had my Terremoto 10, but I've definitely, as a dealer, I see a tons of people that have had that issue. They've actually made now a repair for it as well, which tells you that Redcat's seen it. So regardless, they've fixed that. Also, I'll go over a couple different things. This is something you should upgrade, I would say. I would at least look at it as an upgrade option for the Terremoto 10. It's only going to make your truck a little bit stronger and tougher. It's not going to hurt it, of course. And then if you're going to be replacing hubs or snapping knuckles and doing things like that, and just buying the regular ones, it's not that much more to start upgrading and doing the whole thing. I think I sell for 85 bucks. There's a $5 off coupon on there. I think you wind up getting it for, it's either 80 or 85 bucks after the coupon. So either way, but it's not that much for what you get. And I'll go over what you get with that as well, and also show you that, plus talk about some of the differences between the Landslide that you could also transfer over to your Terremoto 10 if you wanted. So, all right, well, let's get started. I'm just going to go ahead and get the tires off this truck and get things set up a little bit differently so I can better show the comparison. All right. Got it all set up. Get ready to go over this in a second. Let me show you the kit itself, which includes both sets of CV axles with the longer stub axles, the axle collars that go on here, the larger hubs, which are two left and two right. They're interchangeable for size if you want to swap them. If you break one, you can still do that, but again, they are thicker, so they might not have an issue. And these are the wheel hexes, which you would need to replace these because the actual axle is beefier as well and thicker. So you're going to actually need to replace those. And if you bought hub extenders from me for your Terremoto 10, you'll easily be able to sell those, especially if you're in my group, as they're a hot item, but these themselves are not needed. And afterwards, this truck actually is a little bit wider than even my Terremoto 10. So doing this upgrade, even putting everything back to normal after you're done, tires and everything, you're still better off, and you still have a wider wheelbase than what I was able to offer you before, probably by an inch total. All right, so that's the kit. So if anybody wants it, it's on my website, redcatdealer.com. The links are always in the description of any of my videos. That will be there, but let's actually show you, so you're not looking at a picture and just saying, well, they look exactly the same, why am I paying more money for them? So what you're actually getting is, we'll do it visually first to see if you can tell. I don't know how great this contrast is, but it's so hard because they're so identical. But let's actually pull out and start getting some measurements on this. All right, so this width should be very close. This should definitely be close in width. All right, let's just start off end to end. All right, so that's 55.53. End to end, 55.99. Again, that's a fraction. Could be, just a difference of that, but it could just be also some of the extra plastic that's on the side of the mold. But either way, that's not that different. Where the thickness does come in, all right here on the part where it's flat, right before the screw, is 4.33. So we do the same here. I have to open it back up. That one is like a 6.14. So it's about 1.5 millimeters thicker. Let's see what else. Let's go with this part right here, where the top knuckle mounts. It's 9.67. And this one is 12.12.3 or 12.23. So again, that's definitely thicker, which means it's holding, where the places where it mounts at is better. Now, I've never really seen them snap up here. I've seen them snap the whole side right down here, and had people where they've actually broke this knuckle off, where you can't flip it to the other side of the vehicle, because you can flip these. If you broke one, I could take this one off and swap it with this one, or I'm sorry, this one, or vice versa, or put it in the back. So you could always do that. But now, like I said, this if you broke the bearing off the side, or I should say expose the bearing, then you really couldn't do that. So this, let's just go over the front girth now to show you how much thicker that is as well. Right there behind the hex is 17.96. Now this one, the hubs run right up against here, whereas this has like a little bit of a, let's see, get in there. This one here has like a little bit of a lip where you can actually grab and bite onto, whereas this comes out and over. This one's so much thicker here as well. As you can see, this thing goes right up to the front and it's much thicker. So I'm going to measure the thickness of this as well, and I'm going to try to eyeball it and get as close as I possibly can to this, where I would be grabbing on this, to show you the comparison. Alright, and that looks like the comparison right there. So that is 25.59. Now I gotta remeasure because I've done talking, forgot all about it, but 25.59 and 17, roughly 17.91. So that's about 8 millimeters wider that this is. I mean, that's a big difference, man. That's almost like, literally, it's going from 1/10 to 1/8. But you know, with this truck being a smaller 1/8, it really is one of the only things that really changed. But again, this was a larger 1/10 to begin with, so it was already a decent truck that just kind of needed some fixes. Which, you know, by the way, speaking of, Redcat has fixed some things with this truck since version 2. Even the version 2 came out. I don't know why they didn't call it a version 2.1, because it does have a couple key differences that they didn't talk about, like the CVs now, this axle pin's held on by a grub screw, which was never the case. The 3 bolts here versus the 2, and something else. I don't know. I'm not talking about that in this video anyway. So, but there are a couple key differences. I'll cover all that stuff probably with another revision video of the Terremoto 10. But for now, talking about these hubs. So again, basically, the last measurement I'm going to get from top to bottom, from pin to pin right now, and see what the actual height difference would be. All right, roughly that is 40.66. All right, roughly that one is 44.97. So as you guys can see, it's anywhere from the smallest measurement of roughly about 1.5 millimeters wider to, you know, 8 millimeters from what we've seen on the furthest. So they're definitely bigger hubs. They're definitely make a difference. They're definitely going to strengthen up. And with those bigger hubs, what you're getting as well is the bigger, fatter end to these CVAs. These CVAs have a much fatter head as well. So this drive axle itself, roughly 4.25. And 4.21, so it's probably just the angle I was holding it for the 2, but roughly those are about the same. But again, the biggest difference is the end of this. The part that actually holds the axle pin is completely different size. These pins, let me get another pin as well so I can compare. These pins, I mean, we're talking fractions. That's why I got the caliper tool out, but that pin is 2.58 millimeters thick. So 2.58 by about 13.85. And we're comparing that to a 3 millimeter, roughly 3.5 millimeters shorter, and about a 0.5 millimeter, a little bit over 0.5 millimeter thinner hex pin. Now this is longer as well, because I say hex pin, I meant drive shaft pin. These axles are also much wider, so they're thicker. This whole end is much thicker. Drive axle is the same, end is thicker, pin's thicker, and then of course these are longer, and they feel very solid as well, being that they are longer. I'm guessing to hold all the extra power, the weight, and the leverage that it's going to be holding. So, but that's it, man. That's the difference between those, and that's a big difference. That, you know, the axle collar pins, of course, are bigger to go with that. But so again, guys, that's a huge difference when you're actually talking in scale size, especially with that pin. I mean, it's a, you know, something that's small that can be a little bit more than 0.5 millimeter thicker. I doubt you're going to be snapping it like you would with that issue. And again, that mainly comes from a lot of people that were upgrading or had it for a while and wore out the holes. But that also, it's another thing with the holes being so much thicker and this material up top here feeling so much thicker than the original CVAs. This is probably also not going to wear out as easily. Alright, so I already covered what the main purpose of this video was, and that was to show you the scale size difference between the hubs. But I do want to go ahead while I have you on here and show you a couple of the other differences between the Landslide and this that you might be able to cross over and use parts wise. So give me a second, get this cleaned up and get the Landslide down real quick, and we'll show you a couple different things real quick. Alright, so I got the Landslide down. Now, of course, mine's slightly modified a little bit. Nothing that we're going to be talking about though. So first thing, let me just point out to you is you can clearly see that these shocks are smaller than the Terremoto 10 shocks. Now, it doesn't change the ride height. It doesn't, nothing changes, and I'll show you why. So you're getting your shock travel is more up and down here, but you're also getting it from this higher arc up here. So this higher arc now over here is right about here. So that's why these shocks are longer on the Terremoto 10, because they have to come up and come up higher over here to be able to reach the travel distance. These are like the ones I sell, the blue ones that I sell for the shock swap video I did, and they're on my website. They that if you have this set up and you want to make it lower, more balanced, that's what you do. So this one actually uses the same exact size shocks. It's just that they mount the shock tower differently. So the shock tower is actually differently. Also upgradable, as far as if you want to order this to have these, you could actually put this on your Terremoto 10. The biggest difference is there's a piece on the bottom down here that is used on the Landslide that is not used on the Terremoto 10, but it's a quick Dremel cut and it's off. So for the people that don't want to do the shock swap on your Terremoto 10 like I did, which puts these smaller shocks on this setup right here, you know, this might be the alternative option for you, to be able to use the smaller shocks, ones that don't have a history of leaking and don't have plastic caps. Now you have aluminum caps. These are still plastic bodied, but so far haven't had any issues with them leaking. Kind of same thing with the blue ones I sell. So if you wanted to do these and have this set up, put some better shocks on it, and if you're already looking at doing the hub extenders and things like that I sell, you might as well get the whole setup converted over and keep your ride height the same, but put the better shocks on it this way. So again, that's an option. It takes a little bit extra work to do, but nothing is different other than what I just described. What this also will do for you though on a Terremoto 10 that the Landslide doesn't have is this buffer guard piece. So on a Terremoto 10 you have this buffer right here. That's what they call it. Mounts to this part right here, and then comes down, and then you connect your bumper to that. The bumper connects on the bottom end of this. So you have this plastic piece here that, especially in the rear, I cannot stop braking on the Terremoto 10. So eventually I got the T-bones now. It's not a big deal to me anymore, but that was an issue for me for a long time. What the Landslide now offers you is a chance to basically bypass this buffer. Now again, I have an aftermarket, I have the T-bone on here, so it's not very easy for me to show you, but how I had to, you can kind of see, these are the holes. This is a Terremoto 10 T-bone, so these are where the holes would line up here. So you can tell now that they're pushed back here, so that's the biggest difference. So you will definitely be closer there, but it removes that whole flexible piece right there, making the whole front solid and stop snapping them. And that's a huge benefit. Again, maybe not as much in the front because I never really had a huge problem with it in the front, but the rear was a big issue, especially when you start dragging it on the ground, like wheeling up, and it's dragging. It just lifts up on it and would get up under it this way and definitely snap them off. So their idea was to put 3 of them on there and hold them and help protect us a little bit better by having 3 of them. But if you do this shock tower, it eliminates that piece altogether. So, and to me, if I wasn't already in the situation I am, I'm doing that. Just because I've at least I'm doing that for the rear, because I've constantly broken that piece. So again, in all, guys, if doing any of these upgrades for you, all it's going to do is it's going to widen your vehicle, it's going to strengthen your hubs, prevent the snapping of the hubs, prevent the snapping of the axle pins that are, you know, more common with this truck, which sadly, unfortunately, would be a great truck if it weren't for the whole Traxxas thing and we could have the version 1 out the box. This would be blowing trucks away on the market. But this version 2 steering definitely is an issue. Of course, I got the fix, which does connect the links. Thanks for Seth. You know, I still give him a shout out every time, but that was something he came up with when I was doing a version 1, and I just kind of found the right link that worked with it and didn't need all the extra nuts and bolts. So, but that is something that will definitely fix some of that extra play on a shoddy design already, but this truck could have been so much better. Traxxas definitely pulled their hands out and made sure that that didn't happen. So I meant to say cards, but whatever. So either way, that's basically what I want to show you guys with this video. I love the Terremoto 10. It's probably always going to be in my collection, but that's also because I have the version 1 and it's so fine-tuned right now to how I love it that I just can't see myself getting rid of it. But if you haven't purchased this truck yet, the Landslide out the box is going to be a better purchase for you than the Terremoto 10, because for the $20, that is the difference between the two prices of the vehicles. Again, this is an ARR. This comes with a 3200 milliamp 2S battery, which, again, it's a 3S vehicle. You're probably going to be upgrading that anyway, so that really doesn't help. You're still buying a battery, and that almost cancels out buying 2 batteries for this one of the 2S form. So, you know, apples to apples, we're only talking about maybe a $35–40 difference, but what you're getting for that $30–40 difference is the bigger hubs, of course, the wider extension, a better steering design than the version 2 steering system, and then, of course, just the actual layout itself is different. It's got the option for a little bit longer of a motor, bigger motor. The gearing and things like that can be a little bit different. It does have the direct drive versus the slipper system, or sorry, not slipper, the reduction gear system that's in that. So again, not to shy away from people. This video is for people that have the Terremoto 10 that want to do the upgrade, but also if you've seen this and caught this and you don't have either yet, or maybe if you have this and you're thinking about buying another truck. I mean, this truck uses the same exact parts for the most part, as you can see, as far as the arms, upper, lower. There's some other key things that are you know, the same body posts and stuff like that you wouldn't have to replace. Bumpers if you had the other ones. But there's a lot of parts that are compatible with these two vehicles. So if you own both of these vehicles and you wanted a 1/10 and a 1/8, this is a good truck to own, because you can just keep a set of A-arms and cover both your trucks. So again, that's a plus, but that's not, again, what this video is about. So I've covered everything I wanted to show you guys. If there's any questions or comments, please leave them, and I'll be happy to get back to. I try to answer every question and comment that's posted on my page. So again, guys, I appreciate everybody who follows and watches. Try to keep this stuff interesting. It always runs a little longer than I expect, but again, you know, the point of this video is the same. You guys, most of you scroll past it anyway, so regardless, the gist was done. You got the idea. If you're looking for the upgrades, hit me up. All right, guys, thanks for watching.